we always want to win.
You never want to disappoint your country. It's just something that means a lot to us.
It was embarrassing last year, and we want them to feel like we felt last year.
It's the biggest win of the year if we can pull it off.
Welcome to the Weber Cup, where we've already had history made. 2 perfect 300 games, and the USA leads 7-5. The Barnsley Metrodome always gives us drama and excitement, and this year has been no exception. The USA were 5-1 up after the opening session, and then Europe started the fight back.
Team Europe, captained by Mika Koivuniemi, had a disappointing start to their campaign, but determined to avenge last year's defeat, they reduced the deficit with some great performances against the Americans. Last time, Martin Larsson and Bill O'Neill went toe-to-toe in the singles game. O'Neill struggled at the very start with an open frame, and Europe clawed a point back as the Swede hit 8 strikes in a row. The doubles match saw the Europeans Dominic Barrett and Mika Koivuniemi lock horns with the Americans Tommy Jones and Bill O'Neill. It was a close contest and it came down to the final frame. O'Neill failed to get the much needed strike though, and Europe won the point. This is confirmation of the results so far. Europe were 5-1 down, but they've clawed their way back, having won 4 matches in the last session, and the score is now 7-5 to the USA. Coming up, we have a Baker match followed by 5 singles games, including 2 back-to-back matches for Dom Barrett and Chris Barnes. It is going to be an absolute cracker here at Weber Cup 14.
Time then for our first game. It's a team match, it's a Baker match. Please welcome Team Europe. And now, please welcome to the arena, Team USA. And now to your commentators, Cass Edwards and Andy Bodfish.
Thanks so much, Tony. The Baker game then to open up the 3rd session in Weber Cup 14. Now then, Europe doing the business when it comes to the Baker thus far. They won at the start of session 1. They won the Baker at the start of session 2. They actually won the 2 opening matches of the 2nd session, lost the next 2, won the final 2 crucially though. So, have they got the momentum? Yes, they have, if that's anything to go by. Mika opens with a strike.
Yeah, great looking shot from the flying Finn, the big Finn, the European captain. And they're all very happy with that. And that's the perfect start for a Baker match.
We're going to be seeing quite a lot of Chris Barnes. 2 singles back-to-back after he captains the US in this Baker. Strike for him to open up.
And the lane has just been dressed. It's freshly covered in oil, which goes down to 43 feet, which is quite what they call a long pattern. It's flat across the lane, but there's only 17 feet of back end between the oil stopping and the head pin. So that's the only distance they've got to get that ball to hook back up into the 1-3 pocket for the right-handed players.
Barnes is back-to-back against Barrett after the Baker. Can Dom deliver here? Yes! Messenger time.
Yes, another great looking shot from the Europeans. Watch this one. Absolutely in the perfect spot. Leaves the 10-pin standing, but that's the headpin coming across and does some real damage. And yes, I'm number one. I've got a strike. How about that? 2 in a row for the Europeans.
Chris Barnes with one for the US. Mr. 300 to do exactly the same. 2 out of 2 for Europe, 2 out of 2 for the States.
It could well become what they call a carry contest. It looks as though the lane is good enough for all players to hit the pocket, and it's just a matter of whether they're going to carry 10 pins or leave that elusive corner pin standing up.
Martin Larsson. Turkey time. 3 out of 3 for Europe.
Well, it's high fives all round, and it is the perfect start for the Europeans. 3 strikes in a row. Martin Larsson keeping this one tight to the headpin. There comes the snap. There's the reaction, the back end. Carries all 10. Oh, and a bit of body language thrown in for good measure.
Carry contest is spot on, Cass. It's all about who is going to blink first. Next up for the United States, Mike Fagan. Oh, 2 left standing, and it is the United States who blink first.
Yeah, not a bad looking shot actually. Just a fraction high on the headpin, and we call this a fast 8. At that point it's good. At that point it's just a little bit high, and everything jumps around there. 4 and the 7 pin in the corner there. So it can only be a spare.
It is a spare, so 278 all of a sudden becomes the Americans' maximum tally. Frame 4, Europe, perfect so far.
Yeah, and it's time to continue with that run of strikes, one would hope, with Stu Williams. Take advantage of that spare from the Americans just to extend this lead.
So spin that turkey into a 4-bagger, and that is exactly what Stu Williams has done. Europe looking good.
Yes, interestingly that all the Europeans are playing tight down the middle of the lane. No one's going too wide, not gone fishing out there. Just sitting on the oil until it comes off of it and then turns left, hits the pocket, and it's high fives all round. 4 strikes in a row for the Europeans.
Bill O'Neill strikes back. Well played, sir.
Yeah, just keeping the USA side in the game. These frames go past so quickly. We're almost up to the halfway stage already, and it's time for Mika, the captain, striking frame number 1 to hopefully shoot another one in frame 5. There's total silence in the Metrodome here, but
that's a double for Mika personally, and it is 5 strikes in a row for the boys in blue.
And Mika just raises the roof there. The crowd's gone absolutely ballistic. Again, tight down that middle, not getting too wide on this lane, and it just roars on back. Perfect strike, carries 10 pins in the back. And a little clenched fist from the captain says, yeah, we're on.
And this is what the Weber Cup is all about. Everyone is so up for this. Well, he's got his Brooklyn there as Barnesy.
Well, as soon as that came off Chris's hand, he almost turned his back in disgust that it was such a bad shot off the hand. Just watch this one. He's turned his back on it. And there's the hook on the left-hand side, but it carries all 10. An error, but a maximum score nonetheless.
He can smile now. He can laugh about it now.
And there we are at the halfway stage.
frame 6. It's Dom Barrett stepping up to the plate. Here's Dom, and here is another strike for Europe. This is super stuff, Cass. 6 in a row.
That'll do nicely. A six-pack always goes down well, especially with the boys in blue. I can recall that the highest Baker game is 290 ever bowled by a team. Perfect looking shot here from Dom Barrett. Keeps the string of strikes going. High fives all round, big smiles. Let's keep this one going.
Europe have hit the ground running at the start of this third session at Weber Cup 14. Here comes Tommy Jones. It's another left standing. And Europe, well, they will try not to become overexcited, but looking good at the moment.
Potentially another victory coming, one would hope. European boys are saying they're perfect. Jones has just missed the opportunity to go 3 in a row for the Americans on a ball that was not quite in the pocket and left that single 4-pin standing. Be a straightforward spare, but it'll be the second spare that the Americans have had. The Europeans have had none.
Tommy will slot this. So, 7th frame. Europe still with a potential 300 on. The United States can only get a maximum now of 257. Mika Koivuniemi from Finland. Double for him from Sweden. Martin Larsson looking to repeat the trick. Oh, came in a little wide. He's got his 9, but that's the run over for Team Europe.
So the 300 Baker game goes. Yeah, the ball just gets away a little bit here. Martin's just pushing a bit wide of his mark. Gets snagged up in the lane or makes the head pin. Leaves the 2 and the 10 pin. And that 10 pin gets a little nudge. So this is a straightforward spare, which Team Europe will accept.
Just off centre, and no problem there for Martin Larsson to make that spare. Still ahead in this Baker match, but the dream of a perfect Baker dies away.
I'm sure we'll have another one sometime soon, Andy. The way things are going.
Wouldn't put it past this edition of the Weber Cup. Back-to-back 300s on session 1. And that extraordinary 7-10 split made by Mika in the last singles match of the night. Here's Mike Fagan. Leaves the 10 tottering. It's another spare.
Didn't see very much wrong with that shot, and I don't think the rest of the boys did, but disappointing not to carry all 10. The king of swing, the man with a very high backswing. Just a slightly half pocket shot, so it can only be a spare, and is. Yeah, they can't believe it. 3 spares, 4 strikes for the Americans. But at the moment it's Team Europe pacing maximum score of 279. If they can keep the run of strikes going from now on.
Here's Stu Williams, the late replacement in the 2005 Weber Cup squad. He's back in 2012. 3rd appearance this year. Strike!
Just held on to that pocket shot there. I think if that ball had flipped over one more time, he would have had a split or something. Just about makes it. But they don't care. It looks good on the score sheet. It's a big cross. It's an X. It's a strike.
Bill O'Neill. Oh, not clean again from Bill.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate. It was very close, but you've got to be perfect or you're not going to trip all 10 pins out. Leaves a 4-pin standing. 3 9 spares in a row for the Americans, which is not what they want. And it appears as though Team Europe are running rampant at this particular time.
Maximum score tumbles again for the States, down to 235 now. 279, maximum achievable for the host nation. Host nation? Host continent.
You mean Europe?
I do mean Europe.
Okay. Up steps the captain in frame 9, the foundation frame, Mika Koivuniemi, working with a strike, looking for another double.
He's going for his triple, and he's got it!
And the Moose fans get really excited. That's 3 strikes for the captain. You can sit down now and just hope the rest of his team can finish this off for him.
This is how to lead from the front as a captain in a Baker match. 3 strikes for Mika.
Yeah, put himself in the prime position, the lead-off man, and has answered any critics he's had. Oh dear, game is over. Chris Barnes leaves a big split. It's the 4-6 and the 10-pin.
And it is back now, Cass, to 7-6. This is a terrific fight back from Europe after the disaster of the opening session. They won the first Baker, then lost the 5 singles that came after straight. Terrific in session 2, and now they have opened up in session 3 with another point. Oh!
Chris was actually just practicing. He knew that was going to be an open frame. He was just practicing a strike ball there. That's why he didn't go for it, the 2 pins on the right. Disappointed. But it's the 3rd Baker win in a row for Team Europe. How about that? That's almost a record in itself.
There wasn't much joy to be had for Europe last year, but they did get a couple of points in Bakers there. Twice they won the opening matchup of the session. In 2012, Dom strikes. Oh, he's set for European success in session 3.
This is a bit of a demolition job over Team USA. There's a 279 still on here, and the maximum the USA can make is 209. Game over, but it's such a vast win on pin count, and brings it back to, and will do, bring it back to 7-6.
Dom Barrett once again. Same outcome. Very, very nice that, Dom.
And Andy, yes, the interesting thing is, of course, Dom and Chris are up next match as well. So a big finish here from Dom Barrett will do his confidence the world of good. Strike for 279.
Yes! Down they fall, and Europe have another point. 3 Baker matches in Weber Cup 14. 3 wins for Europe. Wonderful teamwork.
What a fantastic turnaround that was, and a great finish from Europe's #1, Dom Barrett.
TJ with just a reminder. A couple of practice throws, essentially.
Yeah, he's not looking very happy, I'm afraid, but you know, the point's gone now. They've got to put it behind them. They're going to have to move on into the singles session.
Left to right movement again, finds the pocket perfectly.
One more strike for a 209. Not the best Baker game in the world. They'll put it behind them.
Went very wide that time, didn't he? Leaves 4 standing, but damage had already been done, really. Tommy Jones and Team USA have to rethink their well beaten in this Baker match. 3 out of 3 for Europe, and the gap, the deficit in terms of the overall scoring here is down to just 1. So a fantastic second session for Team Europe, and now session 3 has got off to the best possible start. Europe 100% through the 3 Baker matches. Terrific from Mika Koivuniemi's boys in blue. United States lead, but it's just by a single point now, 7-6. Tony is speaking with Stu Williams.
Yep, Stuart's here. Well done. Congratulations. You guys are acting more and more as a team, aren't you?
Yeah, it seems like we've got a pretty good thing going in the Baker games right now, so can we have a session of those?
No, we're not amending the rules for you, but you are playing really well, and that was an almost flawless Baker game.
Yeah, it certainly was nice to shoot 279. It's pretty difficult to lose with 279, so hopefully Dom can do that now against Chris twice, and we'll be in the lead.
There's such a contrast to the first session and last night. You were 5-1 down. What has changed? Can you put your finger on it?
Well, the lane pattern's changed a little bit, and our guys have got a little bit looser, and it's playing a little bit more into our favour. And I guess when the other team's so far ahead, once our team starts to get points back, it puts a bit more pressure on them.
What about you personally? You've got a couple of games off before you hit the lane again. How are you going to be preparing for your next match?
Hopefully I'm going to be sitting in a seat over there watching Dom put on a show. We'll see. That's the plan right now. Hopefully by the time I get back on the lanes, we'll be leading.
Stuart, well done. Congratulations. Europe now just 1 point behind. It's 7-6. Who would have thought at the start of the day that the Europeans could be ahead at the end of session 3? Can they draw level? Find out next.
We are at the Barnsley Metrodome for Weber Cup 14, one of the fiercest competitions in the sport. Before the break, we saw Europe win the Baker match. They're proving to be a very strong team, and the USA have now squandered a big lead. Now it's the singles games, and coming next, we have the first of 2 clashes between Dom Barrett and Chris Barnes. This is a chance for Barrett to help Team Europe draw level. Before the event got underway, we caught up with one of the newest additions to the PBA Hall of Fame.
I started when I was 12 years old, and I went down to the Youth Bowlers Club, the YBC, on Saturday mornings, and I went on to play tournaments around England, and it's a pretty long road, but it took me all the way to where I am now through representing England as a junior and then a senior team, and now into the European team. I've had plenty of ups and downs here in Barnsley. Won the World 10-Bit Masters, won the Weber Cup a couple of times, and we've had some heavy defeats. So, you know, it's a really emotional roller coaster. We have plenty of fans that come along, friends and family. It's something I look forward to every year, and you hate when you lose in this lane, and there's nothing better feeling when you win on it either. Looking forward to Mika leading us. He's the best bowler in Europe and has been probably since the first time he started bowling overseas from Finland. It'll mean so much this year. I think we all know what's on the line for us after what happened last year, and I think we're a lot more up for this year. A lot more competitive. We've all made sure we're in great form going into this, and we're going to have nothing left on the line when it comes out of this event. We're going to give everything.
Representing Europe, it's Dom Barrett. And now representing Team USA, it's their captain, Chris Barnes. So it's the first of 2 games in a row that these 2 players are playing. It's a bit of a quirk of the draw, and it's absolutely fascinating because whoever wins the first game, you'd think, has a big advantage. Come on, Dom, come over and have a chat as well. Chris, is that fair to say whoever wins this first clash will have a big advantage?
Well, it will certainly shift the pressure on whoever loses the first match. Either way, whether they pull even, and then there'll be some pressure on me to keep us from falling behind after having a big lead, or if I win and they're 2 down, looking not to go back to 3 down, which is a huge hole.
It does put a lot of extra pressure on you guys. Dom, how did you feel when you saw the draw for tonight, saw you were playing such a legend of the sport twice in a row?
It's a little bit expected. We both looked at the schedule and we could see that, you know, one guy can go on and not be cold for the second match, and knew that Chris was going to be playing against me this match, so we kind of figured out it's going to happen. So we're quite happy with it. We're happy with how the lane's playing. Obviously, we're bowling good, so it's going to keep this momentum train running forward.
Fair enough. Good luck to both of you in this match. Here we go. It is time to watch Europe versus USA in the Saturday night singles. Over to your commentators, Cass Edwards and Andy Bodfish.
Barnes against Barrett then in the opening singles matchup in session 3. Saturday night under the lights at the Barnsley Metrodome at the 888.com Weber Cup. Second time in this competition this year that these two have met in the singles. We know what happened. First singles match, first session. Chris Barnes turned in a perfect game. The American skipper to open up here with another strike.
I don't mind if we see another 300 game, Andy, and I don't really care who bowls it, but it would be nice to see Dom just slide one in there, wouldn't it? Put one over on the Team USA captain.
Well, it would be the first since Paul Moore, wouldn't it? The one and only European thus far to record a perfect game in the Weber Cup. He was the first to do it.
Yeah, Dom's a man that's in great form. He's had a recent win in the Chandra Open singles event in the Netherlands. Shot a 300 game on the way. And as I say, he's ranked #1 in Europe at this particular time. But that little shot just hurried on there. The lane has not been redressed at all since the last game.
Certainly makeable, this spare, but those 5 straight strikes in the Baker, Dom might have expected more there.
Yeah, he's left the 2 and the 8 pin. We call it a sleeper. He's got to make sure he covers that pin at the back with a high hooking ball. Not dissimilar to that. Great looking spare. Fiance Cassie there, sitting down right in the front row with the rest of the Barrett family, entourage, friends and family. We call them the Domination, and they certainly support Dom and the Weber Cup annually. There's Cassie with the, and they've all got their own shirts on. Keep calm and spank the Yanks, it says. It's a bit outrageous, really, but there you go. All good friendly banter.
Frame 2, and Barnes, yeah, very heavy through the head pin, and leaves the 3 right hand side.
Yes, you could actually hear him shout push as this ball gets near the pins. It's inside of his mark, the angle he's aiming at. He needs it just to push on there, but it won't, and it hooks up high through the head pin. 3-6-10 standing. He's very disappointed with that shot. He was working on a strike, can't make the double, and now has to spare these 3 pins on the right hand side of the lane.
Judged it perfectly, doesn't leave it open, but even so, Chris Barnes denied the chance of another perfect whilst playing Dom Barrett.
One spare only for Chris Barnes in the whole tournament. Lots of strikes, 2 unfortunate open frames, but only 1 spare. How unusual.
Strike for Dom in frame 2. That's what the Team Europe Appreciation Society want to see more of.
Yeah, change of ball there for Dom Barrett from frame 1. Snaps that ball, puts lots of action on it. Well, it's light on the head pin, but gets a lot of mix. Doesn't matter, it carries all 10 pins, and that will count.
Strike number 20 in Weber Cup 14 for Chris Barnes.
Yeah, he just moved his feet left on the approach a bit just to open up the lane a bit, give him a bit more angle to play with as the ball gets down to the last 15 feet of the lane, and it's snapped back to the pocket nicely. So just quite a big change there, and it's paid off for him, striking frame number 3. Dom Barrett, the Europe's number 1, looking to make a double, working on a strike, and
he gets that double, clean as a whistle through the headpin.
It was certainly a valuable ball change in frame 2 where he struck, and he's done it again now, so that's the double, and he hangs on to that lead after 3 frames.
10 pins in it at this stage.
Chris Barnes picks up a couple of gold medals earlier this year at the World 10-Pin Bowling Association World Championships in Las Vegas. He's also won on the American Tour in Milwaukee.
Another strike for Barnes.
I wasn't quite sure whether he thought that was good or not. It looked pretty good from where I was. There's the difference between the two. A much higher backswing from Dom Barrett. They both slide close to the foul line and hold that balance. Very smooth, very professional looking. Okay, Dom needs to keep the run of strikes going. He's working on 2. He's playing against Superman, as he's known, Chris Barnes.
There it is. Bernard Matthews sharpening that knife for Dom Barrett's turkey.
Yeah, he's looking pretty hot at the moment, hasn't he? That ball change has made all the difference. Makes you wonder why I didn't use it in the first frame, but just a slight experiment. He's now settled in on that line, got the ball doing exactly what he wants, and getting the carrying all 10 pins.
Chris Barnes on the back of a double. Three in a row, just about. The 10-pin wiped its feet, but tumbled anyway. That's a turkey for Barnes.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure whether he actually was going to score 6 pins here, or even less. He's inside his mark. Upped his speed a bit, but it still held the head pin, and just fortunate to break those 3 pins up. You have to take strikes like that. They are a little bit fortunate, but it makes 3 strikes in a row. But he's scratching his head a bit. It certainly wasn't on the line that he wanted, and it didn't make the pocket. Keeps him in the game. Barrett looking for 4. Can he make it?
8 strikes from his last 9 bowls for Dom Barrett. Yeah, just the ratio drops off slightly. Leaves his spare.
Yeah, this one's inside his mark. It's left as soon as it gets off his hand. Big finish in the back end. Almost crosses the head pin to take a Brooklyn strike. But you can see pins flying around that 10 pin in the corner, and none of them wanted to know. Hard and fast shot for the spare. And there we are at the halfway stage.
For all Chris Barnes' undoubted success all over the world, most significantly on home lanes in the US, he's twice lost a match in a PBA major by a single pin. Strike there though for the American team captain.
Yeah, quite a contrast from that shot to the one previously. They both counted as 10 though, but that one was right flush in the pocket, and he'll certainly be happier with that one. But he's got to build on it. You can see he's chatting away to himself there, sometimes telling himself off. He actually knows how good Dom Barrett is, so he knows he's in a game. .269 is the maximum
Dom can score here if he keeps striking.
Just takes a quick re-rack of pins. Yes, those are the maximum scores that either player can score if they strike off from here right through frame 10. If they don't strike, of course, that maximum total drops. It just gives you an indication of the state of play. Dom Barrett works on a spare and can only be another spare because he's rung a 10-pin in the corner. Not a bad looking shot, but it hasn't carried.
Just this middle portion of this match is where it's starting to slip away from Dom Barrett and Team Europe.
Yeah, he makes the spare, but it's pretty unfortunate that that 6-pin just bounced right around the 10. It really didn't want to know. Bowlers rely on that taking the 10-pin out a lot of the time. So now a chance for Barnes. He's working 4 strikes in a row. Barrett's had 2 spares in a row. And you can see the lead now. 22 pins, and it could go up even more with the next shot.
Scratch that, 4 in a row for Barnes. Make it 5.
Yeah, he had that one awful shot in the second frame when he only scored 7 pins. But since then, he's moved slightly left on the approach to open up the lane. And he's kind of locked in now. You can tell he's no emotions on his face, but he's hit 5 in a row. And I'm sure he's thinking, I can go all the way here. This could well be a 280. Let's wait and see. Barrett's got some work to do as well to stay in this one. Working on 2 spares, but they're not good enough. He does need strikes from now on. It's gone long, hasn't it? That ball didn't make the pocket at all. You know, waiting for it to hook up, but it didn't. Just carried straight through. Hit the head pin, but left a solitary 2-pin. Now just watch this. It's getting to the break point just outside his mark, and it's carried on the oil. Fortunate to make 9, but a 9 spare, as I've said before, is no good.
This is slipping away from Dom Barrett now. He's got to dust himself down, because next up is Dom again against Chris again.
Yeah, of course, and if it keeps going the way it is, it will be another point for USA. That will take it to 8-6. There's Dom's 20 strikes, 10 spares, and just the one open, so he's been playing pretty well. Unfortunately, there's too many spares there, not enough strikes.
Chris was 100% through his singles matchups last year, beat Oscar Palermo, Mika Koivuniemi and Stu Williams. He's on his way to another singles point earned for his Team USA here. It's another strike, 6 in a row now.
He's actually looking quite devastating, really. The last 6, well, 5 of the last 6 have just been absolutely fantastic shots. Took advantage of one that was a bit dodgy, but that doesn't matter. He strung a string of strikes after that.
Well, Dom just rediscovering his form. Frame 8 here.
Yeah, just made a slight adjustment there, and he had to do something because he was losing this game big time. There we are after 8 frames. 33 pins adrift, both working on a strike. Barnes working 6 in a row, going for 7, I'm sure. The best player in the world at this particular time, just showing us how good he is when he gets locked and loaded.
Chris Barnes with the 7-bagger, and the United States are heading for another point. That gap will just be leave it open, cranked open a little again to 2 points at the end of this first singles matchup at the start of session 3 in Weber Cup 14.
That's how much it meant to Chris. You can tell by the body language. He's Sitting in his comfort zone now. He's brought his A game to the lane. Dom moves further left and can't hit the 10-pin as he hits the pocket. The messenger was there to take it, and I think that's going to be enough as Dom just checks the score. Another 9, and it's all going to be over.
Yeah. Chris has taken this for the United States. Didn't get a break there, did he, Dom?
Just didn't make the pocket perfectly right, and that's why the 10-pin stood up. So it can only be another spare in the foundation frame. And his maximum drops to 227. And the game is all over. He's missed that deliberately. What he's done is he's now bowling a strike ball because he knows he's up next game against Chris Barnes. So he's just experimented there with a different ball, trying to find the 1-3 pocket. That was a deliberate 9 miss. He knows it's all over.
Can Chris Barnes finish with a flourish here? Oh, I think the answer is going to be yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. A 7-10 split left, and, well, they just fell over. I mean, this is a sort of, not luck, it's the good fortune that you have when you've rolled some strikes high on the headpin. There's the 7-10, and, well, there's a lot of wood flying around, and let's just knock those corner pins over. Why not? Let's give Chris Barnes another strike and tip your hat. Thank you very much.
Not that time.
Well, notice again, he's changed the ball there. It's his last shot. He knows the match is won. He doesn't need to run off a 280 game. That doesn't mean it's anything to him. It's the point that's been taken. He is now thinking about the next game. So he's rolled a little experiment. Finish off with a 268 and a vital victory for Team USA.
Yeah, so the lead's just out to 2 points again. United States 8, Europe 6 at the end of this opening singles before these two re-rack and go again.
Yeah, just a little bit of experimentation there. Last frame for Dom Barrett. We'll bowl the 10th frame out, and then he'll have to regroup straight away because he's right back into the next game against a man that's just shot 268, Chris Barnes, the American captain.
Didn't quite locate the pocket again there, Cass.
No, he's not trying to. There's nothing to gain by it. He's just experimenting. Out comes another ball. This game is lost. It's all over. He's going to move straight on to the next match, but wants to take every opportunity he's got of finding the right line. As the lane changes, it all moves around, and the strike zone just changes a little bit. Needs to get the speed and the angle right. Again, that was a strike ball. He wasn't trying to get those two. It's only a 204, but the game was lost. The score is irrelevant.
Chris Barnes with a 268, enough to beat Dom Barrett's 204. The United States now 8 to Europe's 6 points. Just arresting the slide, the American team, after Europe's 3 successes on the spin. Tony is on the stage with America's captain.
Well done, Chris. Really important win and really important point for the Americans.
Absolutely. It's been going the wrong way since session 2. So stop that, stop them from getting back to even, and we got back to a 2-pin or a 2-point cushion.
You had your game face on when you walked in at the start of that match. It felt like you were slightly more serious.
Probably a lot more. I mean, there's no doubt that we're a lot more relaxed and joking around with a 4-point lead than with a 1 with a possibility to go to 9.
Is it fair to say perhaps that you had such a big lead so you almost start to relax a bit because, you know, it's such a great evening for you last night?
Possibly, even though we know how good they are, that it's possible we might have might have taken our foot a little bit off the pedal, and they put theirs on it and went by us.
Well, a really good performance from you, and another important point. Well done, Chris Barnes, who gets another point for the Americans. And that means that Europe are 2 points behind. It's one of those Weber Cups where you just know it's going to be tight, and we've got another top match coming up for you next time.